one night this week, gosh, I don't remember which night, Gerald and I had the pleasure and the privilege of spending the evening with my grandson and his wife and our 2 great-grandchildren. And at some point during the evening, Claire, who's 5, maybe 4 or 5, was upset about something. And she stuck out her lip and she said, "It's not fair." Have any of you ever heard that before? Have any of you ever said that before? So I had this idea about fairness. You know, what is fair? And so I, place of last resort for me. Looked in the Bible. And Jesus says, "For he makes the sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous." Sounds pretty fair, doesn't it? I was thinking about it. And then I thought of that other scripture, the one that's always kind of bothered me. That first one was from the 5th chapter of Matthew, but this one is over in the 13th chapter, the 12th verse. "For to those who have, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away." I don't know about you, that doesn't sound too darn fair. What does that sound like to you? The rich get richer and the poor get poorer? Does that ever come to your mind? Yeah. What could that mean? You know, the Bible is just this dichotomy. You can find a scripture that says life is fair, and then you can find a scripture that says life isn't fair. Rich in spirit, poor in spirit. I think, Marion, you're at the root of the whole thing. For those who have, more will be given. For those who have a consciousness of God as their source, more will be given. For those who have a consciousness of God being in the midst of their lives, more is given. That more does not always come maybe the way we expect it to. Because in life there is stuff that happens. All we have to do is read the newspaper and we see, does stuff happen? Because the newspaper and the news, they only want to report the stuff that happens. And so how does that play in when we have something that affects us and we're down? Have you been down? Have you been in a place where your life didn't work or things around you seemed like they didn't work? I sure have. I've been in that place and had someone say to me, "Remember, Beth, life is consciousness." And my thought when they said that to me is, well, my consciousness must. That's exactly the word I was thinking, Maggie. Our consciousness is what we're aware of with our conscious mind, but it's also what we're not aware of. It's all that's in our subconscious mind. And when we take the time to align with the mind of God, our consciousness includes the superconsciousness. But what happens is in our subconscious, we get some things, some of that stuff. My parents grew up in the, what's the word, y'all know? The Great Depression. And that showed up in their life even after they were well beyond the Great Depression, well beyond even when their parents were born. And it showed up in my life, and one of the ways it showed up and still I recognize has impacted my life and my family. I'm going to ask you, how many pairs of shoes do you have? Just tell me some numbers. 25 pairs of shoes. 17. Well, there was a sale on shoes, and I have to tell you, I have 5 pairs of shoes. Altogether. Because I grew up when you only had 2 pairs of shoes. You had go to school shoes and you had Sunday shoes. And you might wear those Sunday shoes till your toes were crumpled up in them. And you didn't wear your Sunday shoes to school. Because what would happen, you might wear them out. You'd mess them up and then you wouldn't have Sunday shoes. Did any of y'all have 2 pairs of shoes? Remember that? I remember having one Sunday dress. And you got it at Easter. If you were lucky, you got one at Christmas. But that's how I grew up. And I had a reminder of this week. I was sitting with my friend Julie Malice Turner. And we were talking, and I was remarking about her glasses frames and how beautiful they were, and how the last time they were, she had something that somewhat were different. And she has more than one pair of glasses. That was a whole new concept to me. Because I had a consciousness that you could have how many pair of glasses? 1. Well, I buy my sunglasses at the dollar store and stick them over. It never crossed my mind that I could have 2 pair of glasses. I sat there and I believe that one of these days we will have glass frames that you can plug into a little thingy and that you can program what color it's going to be. Isn't that a great idea? The day will come, if I can think of it, somebody's going to do it. That you could hold up, you could put your dress up to a camera and it would make your glasses match. Barring that, I could have more than 1 pair of glasses. But you see, somewhere in the back of my mind, I grew up with a consciousness of not enough. That there's not enough out there, that you better get what you get and hold on to. And be careful because there's not enough to go around. Obviously, that's how I grew up, or I'd have, you notice I have on red shoes today. I have a pair of shoes that are not black or brown. That's a big step in consciousness for me. Now you're thinking that's not a big deal. But it's that insidious. Our consciousness is that insidious of those beliefs. One of the great teachers that I love was Emmett Fox, and I'm sure many of you have read Emmett Fox. And I'm going to tell you that if you go on YouTube and you search Life is Consciousness, you can hear the master, you can hear Emmett Fox talk about how life is consciousness. That what you and I think and what we feel color our lives. It may not change what happens to us, but it colors how we deal with those things that happen to us. It colors whether we're happy or whether we're sad. It colors whether we're happy or we're angry. Our consciousness is what we think and what we feel. And what Emmett Fox says is that everything in your life is there because you have a mental equivalent for it. And that means that everything that's not in your life, you don't have the mental equivalent for. And he goes on to talk about that the reason the Great Depression came about is because people were gambling and speculating with money. And they were making these fortunes, but that they did not have the consciousness to hold on to those fortunes. And so the bubble burst. So I started thinking about what's a modern day example of consciousness. And if you guys can play it, there was a video on CBS this morning on Friday. Talk about consciousness.
This morning, as part of our Pushing the Limits series, we head to the mountains, not to meet the daring skiers and snowboarders who thrill us with their acrobatics, but to hang out with the GoPro photographers who make them look so good. Don Baylor is on the slopes at Glow Mountain in Buffalo, Vermont. Don, good morning.
Good morning. When you come to a ski resort like this, you see a lot of these guys with these GoPro cameras taking videos of their downhill run or doing tricks on the half. Well, we recently met a group of GoPro professional photographers who take these amazing videos of extreme athletes all over the world. The difference is they often take those videos while doing the same tricks, same jumps, going backwards.
We've all seen videos like this. Extreme athletes pulling insane maneuvers in otherworldly locations. But have you ever thought about how they capture these images? For every one of these daredevils in front of the lens, there's often another equally adventurous adrenaline junkie behind the camera, shadowing the athletes, doing the same stunts, but with one eye fixed on getting the shot.
When you see those shots, we're literally 6 inches to 2 feet away from them in the air going 30 miles an hour off a 90-foot jump.
Meet Abe Kislevitz, who until a few years ago was just another USC engineering student with a hobby.
I was making videos, and we just had those original GoPros. And I was putting videos up online on my YouTube channel, and the CEO ended up emailing me and saying, like, hey, we love what you're doing, and we'd love for you to come work for us.
That CEO was GoPro founder Nick Woodman, who hired Kislevitz as one of the camera company's earliest employees.
I'm Caleb, this is my brother Christopher.
He also tapped fellow USC ski team grads and identical twins, Chris and Caleb Farrow.
As we graduated, Nick Woodman just hired us one after the other. So pretty much our entire ski team from when we were sophomores and juniors works at GoPro now.
But this is such a classic story. You guys are just doing something you love, just for the fun of it, and now it's your career.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I don't really think that, I don't feel like I'm going to work in the morning. The idea is to stay close and stay on.
On the day we caught up with them, going to work meant their office was the Winter X Games in Aspen, Colorado.
Course is juicy for him.
And their job was to shoot point-of-view action footage of competitors, like 23-year-old champion skier Emma Dahlstrom.
These jumps are pretty big, so to be able to hit this course, you need to know what you're doing on your skis or board. So they should have a lot of props for doing what they're doing.
You're doing your work. to be honest, when you're doing a follow cam, when you're following them, you're so focused on getting the camera and making sure the shot's perfectly framed, you're not moving, staying steady in the air, speed, you don't really process exactly what they're doing. I can hardly ever tell you what tricks they did on their run.
In fact, they rarely know what they've got until the end of each run. While they're working, they try to stay out of the spotlight.
And so like a good job for us is if they don't know we're there.
It's what we've all been waiting for. But every once in a while, they accidentally get some attention.
They're going to get his entire run via live GoPro angles.
Like at last year's X Games when Caleb was following an Olympic gold medalist.
And with the live broadcast ring, I knew that I was on, like they were using my feet.
Just a dirty Japan moment.
It was a little embarrassing, but you know, we're getting cool shots. When you go back to the trailer, everyone's like, oh, live TV, we saw you go down.
These are the big jumps. This is the big dog playing the field. So you get some butterflies in your stomach.
But for Kislevitz and the others, those butterflies usually disappear with the rushing wind of a downhill run.
If a kid was going to ask you, how do I do what you do, what would you tell them?
I would probably tell them to follow their passions. I think that's how we all got here. I think that's the best way to get to what you love to do.
And although at the end of each slope is a paycheck, these guys believe the real reward is up in the air.
We have the best seat in the house. We're in the air with the athletes, so it's pretty rad.
The Vaughn brothers told me that when they first started taking these videos, the athletes sometimes gave them a little bit of a cold shoulder. That is until they saw how great these guys are as photographers and how great they are as athletes. Nora.
Donna, and you look great out there.
So what do you think's in their consciousness? I can do it. This is fun. I love doing it. Piece of cake. I'm doing what I love. You heard him say that. They don't feel like they're working. At the end, what would you tell a kid? Tell them to do what you're passionate about. That's getting their thoughts, their feelings all in alignment. And those guys are demonstrating what consciousness, the outcome of consciousness. And it's not always that clear. I mean, sometimes I look at my day and, you know, I'm not flying down the slope. And I have to stop and think, what is in my consciousness? What have I been thinking about today? Have I been thinking about one thing or another? Have I been thinking something positive like, Unity of Melbourne will finish the building by April 1st. And at the same time, sitting there worried, gosh, you know, when are the sprinkler people coming? When will we kind of put stuff in the kitchen? Oh, all those boxes. Oh my God. Where are we going to put all that stuff? On one hand, we're going to have the building finished by the end of the month. And on the other hand, oh, there's no way I can do that. Consciousness has to agree. What we think and what we feel has to be in alignment to get that kind of results where you're actually experiencing what you want to experience in life. And so those guys might not have ended up being GoPro professional photographers. But as long as they had that attitude, it wouldn't have mattered. They would have had to still had that attitude wherever they ended up. You get that? I mean, you can start out wanting to be a tree climber. Don't know where that came from. I mean, you could start out wanting to be an astronaut and end up being a pilot. And it wouldn't be a bad thing. You might want to be an astronaut and end up being a school teacher. But if you have that attitude, if your thoughts and your feelings are in alignment, then the consciousness of goodness follows you. When Reverend Durrell was here, did he talk about Johnny Coleman at all? His mentor minister? He was ordained by Johnny Coleman, who was a Unity minister in Chicago, and she is a 10,000 seat sanctuary with a full orchestra and a 350 member choir. And yet when you see her purse will be hanging open. And if you say to her, Reverend Johnny, your purse is open, she'll say, well, if you close it, nothing can get in. She is a consciousness, not that the stuff's going to fall out, but that stuff is going to pour in. We had a new member class, and somebody asked me about the people that lease our building. Will the rest of the building be safe? And I said, I don't want that thought to be a part of my consciousness. And so you and I get to choose. We get to pick and choose what's in our consciousness. And we have this principle of using affirmations and denials. And so I want to encourage you that you come on Sunday, we have beautiful music and we have great meditations, and maybe something I say touches a chord, but then you leave here. I send you home with an affirmation. There are daily words. We want you to have daily words. We encourage you to read daily word. We encourage you to read things that are positive. When you came in this morning, I gave you a slip of paper because I want to tell you that you and I have a choice about where we align our mind. And we have some divine powers that we get to align with. And the first one is love. And Charles Fillmore said that love was the harmonizing universal glue that holds things together. And so an affirmation that I'm inviting you to use is, I am divine love. Only love, harmony, peace, and peace expressed through me. Let's do that together. I am divine love. Only love, harmony, and peace expressed through me. Another one of our powers is the power of faith. Faith is the perceiving power of mind linked with the ability to shape substance. Thank you, Maggie. I couldn't get that out. It wasn't coming out. And our affirmation is, I have faith that all things are working together for good. Together? I have faith that all things are working together for good. Another of our powers is understanding. Oh my gosh. How many times do you say, I don't know? Lots of times. Well, there is this metaphysical eraser called cancel, cancel, cancel. I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but if you say something like, I don't know, cancel, 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 erase that thought and replace it with, let there be light. Light is symbolic of understanding and knowledge. So when you don't know where your keys are, let there be light. And imagination, oh, if that's that shaping substance. I am divine imagination. I see only the best for myself and others. Together, I am divine imagination. I see only the best for myself and others. And then there's strength. Strength is one of our powers. And the strength is the ability to keep on keeping on, to to put one foot in front of the other no matter what life looks like. And the affirmation is, I am strong in the Lord and the power of his might. That is a scripture, and that scripture ends with, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Together, I am strong in the Lord and the power of his might. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. In order. Oh my gosh, divine order. We can affirm divine order. You know, you can just drive to the grocery store and you affirm divine order and the right parking place shows up. So our affirmation is, divine order is established in my life, world, and affairs. Together, divine order is established in my life, world, and affairs. There is something magic about where you place your I am. The words you say, what you claim for yourself. So I'm inviting you to this week, as you go home, that you practice, that you carry the slip of paper with you. And this week, when life doesn't look quite as bright as it does this Sunday morning, pull it out. I am divine love. Only love, harmony, and peace expressed through. Somebody cuts you off in traffic. Divine order is established in my life, my world and affairs. My bank statement won't reconcile. Let there be light. It's a practice. A practice of when something happens in your life, having something that you hold on to. Maybe you hold on to the prayer for protection. Maybe you hold on to these affirmations. But life is consciousness. It's a hard pill to swallow when your life is not going well. When I'm happy, when the scale has the right number on it, when my car is clean, when the room is full, it's very easy for me to say life is consciousness. But when I'm down and I'm depressed and I'm unhappy, oh my gosh, life is consciousness. I don't want to believe it. It's so much easier to point my finger out there and say, if that hadn't happened, if she didn't say that, if the stock market did this, if the weather was better, couldn't be any better. All the things that we say when we're down, it's very hard to remember that little thing, just that minor little statement that life is consciousness. To take that responsibility and know that no matter what is going on in my life, what circumstance happens, I'm the one that gets to choose how I face life. Do I face it with these? Or do I face it with despair? And guess what? It takes practice. And I'll invite you to practice today and tomorrow. Practice when your life is not in despair. It makes it so much easier when those times come along and you need something to pull out, to pull on, and to hold on to. So pick one. Use them all. Pick something that you can use to change your consciousness. Because guess what? I can't do it for you. I'm doing good enough working on my own. your song. We've sung some beautiful songs here this morning. If all you did was, if you didn't anything but remember, be still and know that I am God. Over and over, be still and know that I am God. Wow. You're